Welcome to another episode of the Be Wise Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Y. Wright. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Trying to grow the channel. We don't want to suppress that conservative voice, especially the Black conservative voice, which is so important because that's how we're going to grow our base. That's how we're going to get the votes in. That's how we're going to win the midterms because you're going to get diverse voices from all over the place. So make sure you like and subscribe. So today's episode, I watched Megyn Kelly on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show. And I typically like his stuff because one thing I like about Piers Morgan is that he's very friendly with his guests, whether he's opposing or if they're not opposing, pretty much the conversations. And a lot of times when he have guests on, like Megyn Kelly, like Mark Lamont Hill, like Candace Owens, he doesn't always agree with them. So it creates a nice, organic back and forth. And I really, really, really like that. So one thing I want to say is a lot of people, I've been on Facebook since Sunday, and I've been watching all of the conversation surrounding the Super Bowl halftime show, Bad Bunny. And what I see is that a lot of people, a lot of liberals, a lot of progressives, they don't understand our problem with the Bad Bunny show. Like they immediately go to the fact, or they go to the point, I should say, not a fact. I misspoke. They immediately go to you're racist. You don't like Hispanics. You don't like immigrants. You don't like Puerto Rico. You don't understand how immigrants are the fiber of the American society. They miss the whole point. And they will argue you down, telling that you're racist, you're anti-diversity, you're anti-immigrant. And it's none of those things. It's none of those things. We're saying that if this was the World Cup, an international global sporting event, I think it's one of the most viewed sporting events in the world. Every time it's on, bigger than the Olympics. You can have international entertainment, but they don't do that at the World Cup. I think they're thinking about it. But if you were to have halftime shows or music entertainment at the World Cup, and the Spanish language is might be the number one spoken language in the world, then I can totally understand why you would want to have an artist who only performs in Spanish. But the Super Bowl is bigger than the World Series, bigger than the NBA Finals, bigger than the Stanley Cup. It is America's premier event. And at that event, that should be a day that we are celebrating America in front of the world. Instead, we celebrated the Americas, as Bad Bunny so eloquently stated. God bless the Americas. America is not just the United States, he said. What a slap in the face. That Super Bowl is our event on full display. And anytime you said something like that on Facebook or social media, TikTok, whatever, you immediately got pushed back. Racist, clown, you're against immigration. That's not it at all. Because we're not. We're just saying, I keep reiterating. But anyway, so a lot of this is going to be Megyn Kelly clips because Piers Morgan really taxed her on the whole Bad Bunny thing, the whole Super Bowl halftime. He enjoyed it, as well as my wife, as well as my kids. They didn't know a word they were saying. The Bad Bunny, they didn't know a word that he was speaking, but they liked the dancing. They liked the choreography. They liked the set design. It was a halftime show made for TV. It wasn't made for the people in the stands. If you look at the people in the stands, they had no idea what was going on. Most of those people go take bathroom breaks and they go take, get beers and food, and they'll watch the halftime show later when they get home or in their hotel rooms. So it's made for TV, and they did a really, really good job with the production. Kudos, Rock Nation. Let me tell you my take on it, though. I'm a DJ, by the way. I play music all the time. I will play music or do a wedding for any ethnic group in the world. I've done Bengali weddings, Indian weddings, Hispanic weddings. I did quinceañeras. I've done it all. Jewish weddings, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. So I'm not anti-immigrant. I am not anti-ethnicity. I love all genres of music. I will listen to country, folk, bluegrass, hip hop, R&B, soul. Do I have a preference one over another? Absolutely. But I don't cringe and go, I'll never play that. That's just not what I do or who I am. So let's get to some of the videos. But on this first video, I think that Megyn Kelly was basically saying what I'm saying is that during Super Bowl time, we need to have artists for one day that we can forget about politics, unify the country, everybody come together, not right, left. No need for an alternate Super Bowl halftime show on TPUSA. If this was like someone like a Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston or Prince, today who would you have? Maybe Bruno Mars, Miley Cyrus, Luke, Morgan Wallen, maybe a mixed show with a couple of different genres in it. Snoop Dogg did an amazing job. What show was that? Jesus. Wow, it was the Snoop Dogg halftime show that he did recently. He had country music, rock music, hip hop, and everybody said, oh my God, Snoop Dogg just showed the world how a halftime show should be. Unifying is the key. And that's not what the Bad Bunny show was. It was quite the opposite, actually.
A certain male gesture is coming to mind, but I'm not sure I can do it on this show. No, it wasn't about what he was actually going to do during the middle of the Super Bowl performance. It's about him. It's about him being chosen as the Super Bowl performer, somebody who's been an outspoken critic, of course, of the Trump administration and of America and our anti-immigrant policies. This is long before the current controversy over ICE. He doesn't want illegals deported from this country. Well, too bad, because the majority of Americans do want that and are not shy about pushing for it. And that's why President Trump got elected. So he and his little buddies over at Green Day never miss a chance to bash the United States of America. He got selected because Jay-Z, for some reason, has got the choice over who performs at our Super Bowl, who's another problem. Don't even get me started on his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Why is he choosing who's appropriate for American children to watch during our seminal sporting event? And I'm sorry, Piers, but to get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers in the United States? We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country. We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
I want to put in a couple of things. So Jay-Z, Rock Nation got the contract to be NFL halftime entertainment back in 2019, right? And it was perfect timing for Jay-Z because the United States was at unrest, right? We had George Floyd, the killing there. We had Can't Breathe, had all this posturing by the NBA, et cetera. So Jay-Z steps in and go, let's save the NFL. And then he had in racism in the end zones and all these different virtue signals everywhere, right? And the NFL was losing the culture war, especially after Kaepernick kneeling, all that. So he stepped in and they gave him a 5 to 6 year contract. Last year was supposed to be the last year for the Rock Nation production. And I just heard that they just extended it to 2029 because they said halftime show viewership has been going up and up and up since Rock Nation has taken over. And obviously that's the goal, right? That's the goal. But here's my problem. Jay-Z's first produced show was J-Lo and Shakira. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was like one of the best shows since the Bruno Mars show, which I believe was the year before. Can't remember. But since J-Lo and Shakira, which are global stars, by the way, global stars, especially Shakira, she would have very well taken care of this whole Hispanic thing this year, but I digress. Since 2021, and I'm looking at my notes, The Weeknd, Black artist from Canada. Who else? Then in 2022 was the Dr. Dre Snoop Dogg concert, which was great. It's probably everyone's favorite. But then 2023, they came back with Rihanna, who was fully pregnant and unable to move. And then Usher. And then Kendrick Lamar, who was also in the Snoop Dogg Dre Super Bowl halftime. But since he had the whole global beef with Drake and certified pedophile, wop, 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 and all that stuff, the beef, he came back. Did a great job. And then, of course, this year, Bad Bunny. Can I ask you a question? And Megan's going to talk about this too. Who in the heartland, the farmland of America, the rural areas of America, where people listen to rock, pop, and country music, what do they know about these artists? The Weeknd, Dre, Snoop, Rihanna, Usher, Kendrick Lamar, Bad Bunny. If you come from my culture and coming from the city where I used to live, of course you understand it. But now I live in rural America myself. My neighbor's asking me, who's Bad Bunny? I've heard of Rihanna, but not sure if I've heard too many songs by her. Kendrick Lamar, who's that? So basically, the NFL said, screw those people. They've abandoned them. I think Jay-Z is doing a poor job with inclusivity. And we always talk about the whole reason for even doing this Rock Nation thing is because we wanted the Super Bowl to be more inclusive. But by making it inclusive, we basically alienated a whole section of society. Not good, Jay-Z. Not good. I don't want to talk about the Jay-Z Epstein thing. We'll have to wait for more information to come. All right.
Okay,
All right,
so
now let
you're
me tell
trying
you
to make
something.
official.
This attitude that you have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now it's gone. We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected. And whether it's Bad Bunny, who is American but refuses to speak English in his performances, or anybody else, we have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
One thing I wanted to say, she mentioned in the first clip that I showed you, she mentioned we don't need the Black National Anthem. I don't care if you do a Black National Anthem. Just place it. Let people know that this is America. We already have a national anthem. You're going to do that right. That's going to be the main event, the main song prior to the football show, right? When Coco Jones sang the Black National Anthem, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing, I've been singing it since grade school. That song was properly placed. It was placed 15 to 20 minutes prior to the game starting. It was before Green Day did their performance. That's fine. Who cares? Toss it in there. If they had done it right before the game, I think the NBA does that, where they'll have two national anthems. It's like kind of like when we play Toronto in a baseball game. They'll play the United States national anthem, and then they'll play the Canada national anthem. In this case, they played the Black national anthem a half hour before the game started. Green Day performed, other things ensued, pregame stuff, and then I'm okay with that. It is what it is. What we're not doing is we're not giving it the same importance as the United States national anthem, if that makes sense. Yeah, so, what she was just saying that this Super Bowl is an American event. It should be meatloaf, fried chicken, and apple pie. It should be Chevrolet, Dodge, Ford. It should be everything that's American. Totally red, white, and blue. And in Puerto Rico, it's American. But if you're going to be from Puerto Rico and perform, then you either need to be able to speak English, which Bad Bunny doesn't do very well, or bring other people on with you that do speak English well. Julio Iglesias, and Enrique Iglesias, rather, I'm sorry. Mark Anthony, maybe even J-Lo or Shakira. People who can speak English. So you can have a little bit of both. Lady Gaga came on, sang her hit in English, and that was okay, a little addition. We get it. And, or closed captions. But they couldn't do closed captions because from what I understand, and I don't know, I didn't look it up. I understand they couldn't do closed captions because some of the material was a little edgy. All right, let's continue.
Piers, I think those medications for your hip have gone too far. You need.
They had a good back and forth going. Like I said, they get along. Pierce usually has fun with his guests. It's not, they don't fight. But Megyn has been on Pierce quite a bit, and vice versa. He's been on her show as well.
We need to dial back a pill or two. Okay, we want something that we can all understand. I don't think Bad Bunny used his appearance to bash America. But I can't be sure because I didn't see any subcaptions on his Spanish language performance.
But what about Pavarotti?
They
What about
chose two
Pavarotti?
America haters.
What about Pavarotti, who Donald Trump in 2016 in particular would use at every campaign rally? He's used it at the RNC, right, as a triumphant tub-thumping anthem. Well, no, hang on. Not only Pavarotti.
I've been to lots of Trump rallies. Pavarotti gets a song, maybe
but
two.
He sings, But when he sings Nessun Dorma in Italian, I don't see you leaping up and down going, I can't understand a word of it.
Now, Pierce is not, he's being dishonest here. First of all, Pavarotti, Trump did use him in the rallies, but it was like an artistic piece, one song, maybe two, but then the rest of it was basically country music and rock. All right. He was giving a world-class global superstar like Pavarotti an opportunity to display his performance. And then we moved on to what was necessary, and that was making America great again. So Piers is just trying to throw that in there. And he used this all week in his show, but it's not a good reference.
You're probably singing
along. I don't remember him being the Super Bowl halftime show, was he?
Well, would you have minded if he was?
Yes.
Yes, I would have, because we feature English-speaking performers at the quintessentially American event of the Super Bowl. We do Michael Jackson. We do Whitney Houston. We do great bands that love America, like American rap. That's a different situation. This guy who can't stand the country comes out and starts speaking in Spanish, and I'm sure the people in South Florida really enjoyed it. The people in an American territory, Puerto Rico, really enjoyed it. But the people in the heartland had no idea what the hell was happening. This is a guy who loves to parade around in a dress, who again hangs out with Jay-Z and his Epstein-loving pals, who gets up there when he's not bashing America with his pals at Green Day, who are from the far left People's Republic of California, who have never missed a chance to rip on Trump, MAGA, half the country, or ICE, and that's something they share with Bad Bunny. That's not representative of what the heartland wants to see. And the heartland always gets the middle finger from people like Jay-Z, like Roger Goodell, who should know better, but he's a panderer who runs the NFL. And that's why you had probably closer to 10 million people turning the channel and turning to the Turning Point event, which was pro-American, which was absolutely beautiful, which had several references to God and faith and this country, which had a tribute to Charlie Kirk at the end of it, and talked about Jesus and how he can change your life. That's what America's all about. We are founded as a Christian nation. We're still a Christian nation. And what we want is somebody up there to celebrate how freaking special this country is, not a bunch of people who can't stand us. And over what? Over our desire to get illegal immigrants who are raping and molesting our children out of our country. That's all ICE is doing.
Oof. I love Megyn Kelly. She is unapologetically raw. She's amazing. Anyway, she hit on so many key points. But I might have already said this, but my take on the Super Bowl halftime show was that I couldn't focus. I could not focus. I know what I was saying. I'm a DJ. That's what I wanted to get to earlier when I said this. And I play all types of music and all types of genres. I like reggaeton. I like Spanish music. But I'm playing it so other people can dance to it. Would I sit in my car for 20 minutes or 30 minutes and listen to 30 minutes of reggaeton in my car? No. I have no idea what they're saying. But when I play a song like Gasolina, the Macarena, Tite Pregunto, which is by Bad Bunny, I play, Mia with Drake and Bad Bunny. I'm not going to sit in my car for 30 minutes or an hour commuting somewhere listening to reggaeton. But if you understand Spanish, you might, because you understand. But other than that, there was a lot of imagery going on. I didn't understand what it meant. A lot of symbolism going on. I didn't understand what it meant because he was rapping, singing, and I didn't know what. So one of my best friends, who is Puerto Rican, explained the whole thing to me. He gave me the reference of every little thing that happened at the halftime show. And it cleared it up, but I couldn't enjoy that while I was watching it. If that makes sense. You feel me? All right. So, God, she just dropped so many gems just now. She, if you don't listen to Megyn, I don't even know if there was any more to add after that. Let's see. Oh, she talked about, Piers asked about Bad Bunny being a rock star. Why not present him at the halftime show?
He is a fantastically successful American story, isn't he? And isn't the fact that he ends up performing at the halftime show exactly the kind of journey that America was founded on, which is a guy who comes from very little, born in America, who actually makes it to the biggest pinnacle because he is, right? I mean, look, I love Kid Rock, okay? And I actually really enjoy the Turning Point show as well. I like them both. But Kid Rock's not had a hit single in the last 11 years. This guy is right now the hottest star in the world, and he should be on the halftime show.
So I also watched the TPUSA halftime show, but I watched it later after the Super Bowl was over. I don't think my family would have enjoyed it. Nor do I enjoy, I appreciate country music because I do play it at events, but I don't love country music enough to, like reggaeton, listen to 30 minutes of it or 45 minutes on a commute in my car. That's how you know when you love something, when you commute with it, going to work with it, etc. I don't love country music that much, but I can appreciate it. But I did watch the show because I wouldn't be able to talk about it here and to say whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. I enjoyed it. It made me feel some kind of way. I'm a Christian. I'm an American. It made me feel that way. I was patriotic, edge of my seat, close to tears, because I felt that that's what the red, white, and blue is all about. And I thought that halftime show celebrated America, where the Bad Bunny show did not celebrate America, if that makes sense.
I can't think of a compelling reason why
divisive. Not. Because he's too divisive, Piers. I'm giving you the reason. Maybe because you're not an American, you don't get it. He is too divisive a figure. No one would begrudge him his personal success story. Good for him. Great. We love that here in America. Just like we love when our half-pipe freestyle skiers make it to the Olympics. Despite all odds, they overcome them. But when you go overseas, wearing the American uniform and you bash America on foreign soil when you're wearing our stars and stripes, we get very upset here in America. It's not that we don't stand for free speech or differences of opinion or love rags to riches stories. We do, all of those things. But there are certain things that we expect of the people who are representing us when they're overseas as Olympic athletes or when they're in the middle of the Super Bowl, which is our event. That is a heartland event that gets every, usually man, but lots of women too, on their feet, feeling patriotic year after year. It's one of the reasons why we love it. And the last thing we want is someone who's a harsh partisan who we know can't stand the country. And you're wrong. He wasn't totally patriotic at that event. He ended it by saying, God bless America, and then listed all the countries in all of the Americas, which is not how we here in the United States view the USA. We actually do believe in American exceptionalism, and we believe we actually do have a higher claim to morality than some of the countries he was listing, like Mexico.
I don't even know if I can add to that, but she's right. People say that he's an American story. He's a rags to riches story. We should celebrate that, and we do. And he didn't do it on U.S. soil. He did it in Puerto Rico, which is a territory. It's not like he did it in Florida or in Georgia or Philadelphia. But that doesn't mean that you get to, one, you don't get to bash America. You don't get to bash our president. You don't get to bash ICE. And it doesn't give you the right to be in the Super Bowl. Just doesn't, you know what I mean? So good mic drop on that. That was on point.
But you wouldn't want him to have his First Amendment rights infringed on his ability to criticize certain policies of a particular American.
Of course not.
American
No one's talking about that. But he has no right
as
to perform at the Super
Bowl. As an American citizen? Really? That's disqualified. So
the First Amendment has nothing to do with it.
Anyone who's ever been...
The First Amendment has nothing to do with it. The First Amendment is about government censorship of speech.
Hang on. Anyone who's been critical then of the US government should not be allowed to perform at the halftime show. Is that your position?
I don't think that'd be my selection. I do think you should find somebody who is more of a unifier, and there are plenty of them. There are still millions of people out there who have very strong political opinions, but they don't voice them publicly because they realize they're in a line of work where that could be alienating to their customer base. The same is true for these performers. And if you want to be super outspoken, if you want to be a Jane Fonda, then go for it. But don't expect yourself to be placed in the middle of what's supposed to be a nonpartisan event and be a so-called unifier. We put up with this year after year after year. But right now, we're in a serious battle over immigration enforcement, something the country voted for overwhelmingly. And to pick two acts who are as outspoken against that as these two and plop them in the middle of the event is a middle finger by Roger Goodell. It's picking a side in the most divisive debate we're having right now in the country, and it was wrong. It was a mistake.
Damn. Gems, man. These are gems. I tell you what, I did a TikTok the other day. It was Elvis Presley, Dolly Parton, Gene Simmons from Kiss, and Billy Bob Thornton. And they were saying, nobody gives a damn about your political views. Just sing the damn song. Just act in the damn movie. You don't need to use this platform, which is a non-divisive platform like the Grammys or the the Oscars or whatever, and get up and tell people that you're anti-ICE or you're anti-Trump or who I voted for. Gene Simmons says it's none of your freaking business who I vote for. How do you feel about his policies? It's none of your business how I care about that. Do you like Kiss? I used to drop my tongue down to the ground. I can't do it anymore, is what he said. That's all you should care about. Not who I voted for. I just want to get your sentiment of it. It's none of your goddamn business. None of your business. You are in the people business. You are in a business to entertain all people, not just Democrats, not just Republicans, not just MAGA, not the super left or the super progressive. Some people just need to get over themselves. I swear. It's amazing. All right, so another topic that came up was the Olympics. I talked about that on TikTok as well, is that you had these Olympic athletes pretty much giving their opinions or bashing America at the Olympics on the press conference. Listen, if I was an Olympic athlete and you asked me what did I feel about the things that were going on over in America, I'm like, I'm here to ski. I'm not here to comment on that. I could have very strong opinions. I could have very strong views about that. But I'm wearing that red, white, and blue. I'm representing the name on the front of the jersey. That's what matters to me. The name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. My name doesn't matter. Hunter Hess, USA is what matters. And I did a video about that. Got pretty good, lot of viewership.
Good. Well, I'm glad we reached a point of zero agreement on that. Well, let's move to an issue where I think we will agree, and this is the separate issue of Hunter Hess, the U.S. Winter Olympic skier, who said this at the weekend.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. I think for me, it's more I'm representing my like friends and family back home, the people that represent it before me, all the things that I believe are good about the U.S. I just think if it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
Before she speaks, what the hell does your moral values have to do with you going downhill on skis? What does your moral values have to do with you getting a gold, silver, or bronze medal? How fast you can. We don't care. Win the gold. I don't care about your moral values. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care how fast you could run. I don't care if you could dribble a basketball. If you're there for downhill skiing or freestyle, do it. Do it well. Win the gold for the United States of America. Hunter Hess, I won't even remember your name next week unless you're back in the news saying something stupid.
You see, I think when you're representing your country, I'm trying to think, what would I feel if that was a Team GB guy saying that about Britain? And I wouldn't like it, because I think if you're representing your country in a global event like the Olympics, just avoid criticizing your country while you're doing it. It seems to me pretty straightforward transactional deal.
Do you know what athletes over here would give to don the stars and stripes and go represent the United States at the Olympic Games? Anything. Those things get decided by 1/100th of a second when it comes to speed or landings, etc. And this guy, he gets the privilege of going. And he has forgotten the most important lesson of the great Herb Brooks, who coached the Miracle on Ice team that won against the Russians in 1980 in an event so historic, and they've made several movies out of it and documentaries beyond, which is the name on the front of your jersey is a whole hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. You go because you're representing the United States of America, not the guy back here. No one gives a damn about you, Mr. Hess. You'll be forgotten in about 2 minutes, whether you win gold or not. That's the truth. But your bad behavior about your country and the flag that you have been sent to represent will be remembered for a long time. You have single-handedly managed to alienate more than half the country, because it's not just conservatives who are outraged at this. There are still a lot of old, regular, moderate, liberal Americans who don't like this crap. If you can't represent the country proudly, don't go. And he says, oh, I'm representing my family and my friends. They don't have the power to let you wear those stars and stripes. They are not empowered to grant you that uniform and let you say you represent the United States of America and run in the red, white, and blue, or ski in the red, white, and blue. They can't do that for you. Your friends and family can give you the hot cocoa when you come in from the mountain, but they can't give you the stars and stripes and America on your back. So if you can't represent that country proudly, get that jersey off of your back and give it to someone who can. I think I speak for most Americans when I say we'd rather lose. We'd rather come in third or second or not place at all than win with a guy who can't stand the country he's doing it on behalf of.
100. That's why I call this the mic drop, because it's hard for me to even comment on it after she says it. But she just put together some really, really impactful points. And I was just like, bro, don't go. Just don't go to the Olympics. I can't go to the Olympics because I disagree with what's going on in Minnesota. Okay, no problem. Someone else will go. It might be your last shot because we're not going to invite you back. You know? But don't go to Milan and talk about your country. It's just a bad look. And you may lose endorsements over it. I don't think you will, but you probably, because that's not the times we're in. Back in the 60s when, John Carlos and Tommy Smith raised their fists in Black Power symbolism, they lost everything. They were shunned when they got back to America. They got no Wheaties box. They got no, Nike. They got no Adidas. They got no Converse. Nothing was here for them. Coca-Cola. Not like Bruce Jenner came back and got the Wheaties box or anything like that. But they sacrificed something. Muhammad Ali, when he didn't want to, when he take the draft and go to the war, he sacrificed 5 years in jail, lost his belt. Today, these athletes, they're not losing anything. They're losing absolutely zero. So on that note, Tomi Lahren, if you don't know her, she's a spicy little content creator. She used to have her own show. She used to be on Fox. I think now she's on Outkick. But she dropped the mic on this whole situation with Bad Bunny and how we feel about people bashing America on a world stage, how we feel about criticizing your country on a world stage, and why even Bad Bunny was even selected for the Super Bowl halftime show. And after that, we'll just go ahead and get out of here. So, Tomi Lahren.
So the Super Bowl halftime show featuring Bad Bunny, though not consequential to anything in our daily lives, was still a deliberate slap in the face delivered at the hands of the NFL and its entertainment overlord, Jay-Z. And you might be surprised to hear me say this, but it's not Bad Bunny's fault. He did exactly what the NFL and Jay-Z sent him out there to do. Deliver a big F you to at least half the audience, maybe more. He's Puerto Rican, speaks Spanish, hates ICE, and has dirty lyrics that, silver lining, most of us can't and didn't and don't have any desire to understand. But I don't fault him for that. That's his thing. Go for it. What's more barf-inducing is the way white liberals are fawning all over him and his performance, whether they actually liked it or understood it or not. In fact, there is a direct correlation between the whiteness of the liberal and the cringe level of their fake fawning over Bad Bunny. Just look at the Newsoms, for example. The Benito Bowl, that sounds like something you'd order from Chipotle. But in all seriousness, the way libs, mostly the white ones, shocker, are bending and falling all over themselves to convince us that it was an all-American performance is theater in itself. And it's the white libs that are demanding we acknowledge Puerto Rico as all-American when the Puerto Ricans themselves are like, nah, we're Puerto Rican. And yeah, for all the corny on social media who are going to say I'm stupid because Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Yeah, I'm aware. It's a territory that insists on having its own Olympic team and World Baseball Classic team. Teams that compete against the United States. Weird. And whatever. That's fine. I honestly couldn't care less. But miss me with all of this all-American load of BS. But back to the NFL. Why would they choose an artist that's A, not from the San Francisco area, doesn't speak English, and C, on our ICE agents? Is the NFL that desperate for Hispanic and Latino viewership that they're willing to put on a halftime show the great majority, including NFL players themselves, aren't familiar with and can't understand? You know, I know people point to Bad Bunny's downloads and global popularity, and that's true. But outside of maybe Miami, he's not a household name. And yeah, I know a lot of people in this country speak Spanish and only Spanish, and yeah, that's another consequence of open borders, by the way. But if the NFL wanted to pick a performer that, is popular and performs in our language, well, it's not hard to find one. But they'd never do it because he said the N-word in 2020, and it'd be just too controversial. At the end of the day, the Super Bowl halftime show is small potatoes, and I recognize that. But force-feeding this globalist open borders, no human is illegal, American culture is too American shtick on us at every turn is exhausting.
And with that note, that's the mic drops. So listen, that's the kind of stuff when I said in the very beginning, when I opened, that these are the things that the liberals, the progressives don't understand about why we American loving conservatives, we don't like this stuff. We don't like. I've heard people go, "Oh, athletes should be able to use their platform to say what they want to say. Singers and rappers should be able to use the platform to say what they want to say." You know, Super Bowl halftime show. So what? It was all Spanish, so you don't have to understand it. What? No. This is where we this is where we are. This is this internal fight in America. To love our country and not love our country, to want purity for our country and not want purity, to not desecrate our flag, to fight for what's right. That note, I'm out. You guys be good, man. I will talk to you at the next show.